Do you believe you know the truth about Jim Jones and Chrissy? Rethink your thought, because everything you believe to be true is about to change. What if I revealed the greatest treachery to you? Wasn't one of Jim's adversaries? Not at all. It came from Chrissy, the person he trusted the most. Furthermore, it's not a little secret. This type of bombshell has the potential to completely upend their world. One shocking revelation after another from Cameron's family has shown a twisted reality that is difficult to accept. The next chapter in Chrissy's life will be exposed in a way that none anticipated. Jim is left standing by himself, blindsided and deceived. When the person you love is concealing the most sinister secrets you could possibly conceive, what should you do? This goes beyond mere rumors. A full-on exposé of everything you were unaware of and could not have predicted is about to happen. Keep an eye out, because if you're not even close, even if you believe you've heard the worst. The reality is worse than you may imagine. What if I told you all you believed to be true about Chrissy Lampkin? A lie? What if the ideal relationship you've been seeing on television for more than 10 years was actually a web of lies? What happens if Jim Jones, who has always trusted her, is now the target of a terrible treachery that might destroy everything he's worked so hard to achieve? There's more to this than gossip, so hold on. The streets of Harlem and beyond are about to witness the detonation of this truth bomb, and it will completely change the way you view Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones. Let's dissect it. Cameron, who has supported Jim through his highs and lows and helped shape his career, has just revealed shocking information that nobody anticipated. And Jim isn't the only one involved in this. A huge controversy involving Chrissy Lampkin has the potential to ruin Jim's career and reveal the unpleasant truth that no one was aware of existed. You've witnessed the glitzy photos, the public appearances, and the moments when the Corsair pair achieved their aims. Behind the scenes, however, things are different. The stunning fact that Jim was unaware of was recently revealed by Cameron's family. Yes, Cameron's family. We are discussing secrets that are so profound and sinister that they have the potential to topple the entire house of cards. Consider it. The woman who has supported Jim for years, Chrissy, has been leading a double life. Now that the truth has been revealed, Jim must deal with the fallout. It feels like a slap across the face. Jim, and to everyone who kept up with their story, this is no longer merely a reality TV drama. This is the epitome of treachery in real life. How did we end up here? Cameron, a man who has never shied away from voicing his opinions, has now revealed the truth about Chrissy's secret existence. Chrissy has been hiding behind a mask for years. Although she has been portraying herself as Jim's rock, the truth is quite different. According to Cameron's family, Chrissy has engaged in dubious activities, covert liaisons, and even business ventures that damaged Jim's confidence. As they say, there is a limit to how long you can conceal the truth. And now it's surfacing in the most spectacular manner imaginable. There is more to Chrissy's life than just a TV program. It is impossible to overlook the intricate network of lies. The man left in the wreckage is Jim. The treachery of someone he believed he could trust beyond all else has caught him off guard. Let's discuss the depth of this, though. Chrissy is concealing more than just cheating and infidelity. No, we're discussing a lot more. Corruption in business, dubious transactions, and covert machinations that were meticulously concealed from Jim for years. Being the person that he is, Cameron has simply revealed everything. And now Jim's life is falling apart in real time while the entire world watches. Let's discuss the first of many secrets, one that has to do with betrayal, power, and money. Jim had faith in Chrissy for years, not only with his business, but also with his emotions. They have collaborated on numerous projects, formed joint ventures, and even established an empire. However, in the background, Chrissy has been operating her own covert operations and taking advantage of her status to influence events to her advantage. Sources familiar with the matter claim that Chrissy has engaged in a number of dubious financial transactions, deals Jim didn't know about. Jim is now held accountable for the losses and poor investments that resulted from these transactions, all because Chrissy didn't tell him. Worst of all, these offers have threatened to topple Jim's whole enterprise, yet he stood by her side, blindly believing in her. Not to be overlooked is the mess's personal component. Chrissy's private life and affairs that have been going on for years without anyone knowing about it. We're discussing clandestine connections, covert travel, and ties with people Jim would never have thought about. Individuals who might ruin him if they ever had the opportunity. Cameron knew everything, which is the insane part. Because they were loyal to Jim, Cameron's family remained silent despite knowing about the situation for some time. However, they are no longer remaining silent now that the truth is known. Jim's career builder has had enough of him. And now everyone is aware, the reality of Chrissy's dishonest behavior and treachery. However, it goes beyond money and concerns. No, trust and loyalty are at issue here. Jim believed he had two things with Chrissy, but now he's been abandoned by themselves to pick up the shards of a collapsing career. He was left alone to confront the fact that everything he believed he understood about lying was the foundation of Chrissy. Why is Cameron acting in this way then? After all these years, why is he finally exposing Chrissy? Is it a result of the past interactions between Jim and him? Perhaps it's because Cameron has finally had enough of Chrissy's games. Jim has been harmed by games more than anyone could have envisioned. The thing is this, Cameron will no longer allow Chrissy to get away with lying. He is tired of it. He has moved to social media and the streets, where he is now disclosing all the information. Since Chrissy has revealed her secrets, there is no turning back. Jim, on the other hand, has been left in the dark while Chrissy has been engaging in risky behavior. What was the extent of this betrayal, though? Was it merely business? Or is the story incomplete? Is Chrissy concealing more sinister truths that Jim was unaware of? Stick around because we're only beginning. Everything is about to be destroyed by the truth. Doesn't the truth hurt? It always does when you believe you know everything you believe was safe, but it falls apart in front of you. And that's just what Jim Jones is going through at the moment. The profound betrayal by Chrissy Lampkin, whom he believed to be trustworthy, was his rock, and it's happening in the most embarrassing and public way imaginable. However, that is only the start of the actual disaster. The consequences of these disclosures are more severe than anyone could have imagined. Envisioned. The hip-hop tycoon Jim Jones is on the verge of losing everything. His reputation, his profession, and the empire he has built over the years. And everything due to one individual, Chrissy. Here's the twist, though. Chrissy isn't only interested in herself. The extent of this betrayal has been subtly revealed by Cameron's family. Sprints. Beyond monetary losses and covert relationships, Chrissy was involved in a network and an entire covert operation. Additionally, the globe is just now beginning to connect the dots. Let's dissect it. Chrissy wasn't merely playing a prank on Jim, she was being ambivalent. Cameron, Jim's closest friend and ally, never had complete faith in Chrissy. Cameron's concerns persisted for years. Jim didn't see it, though. And everyone was, let's be honest. Jim was entangled in the notion that he and Chrissy were the ultimate power couple was reminiscent of the fairy tale. But now, piece by piece, it's all coming apart. This is the messy part. Chrissy's falsehoods went beyond merely being private. She was involved in financial schemes that are now being exposed, and they are larger than anyone could have predicted. Cameron's family has revealed shocking information regarding dubious activities, transactions that not only caused Jim pain, but also abused his confidence in a way that is nearly impossible to understand. Chrissy was serving as the gatekeeper, preventing Jim from being informed about financial matters that ought to have been discussed. Jim is currently dealing with the fallout from her covert tactics. For those who are unaware, Chrissy was the driving force behind several dubious investments that Jim had made without his knowledge. Jim was left holding the bag when the bills were due, whether it was because of dubious real estate transactions or companies that embezzled money. According to people familiar with the matter, Jim put all of his trust in Chrissy, and she used him. Of it. Even worse, Chrissy is meant to be Jim's faithful companion, right? She has, however, been playing both sides and negotiating behind Jim's back with some of his most bitter adversaries. Consider it. Backdoor deals between Chrissy and others who have always had Jim's best interests in mind have occurred. Jim's empire has been at stake due to her actions. This goes beyond business. Due to her actions. This goes beyond business. It's a personal matter. Jim is now left to try to make everything right. However, the harm has already been done. The public outcry is only getting started. Fans and other celebrities are commenting on the story as it goes viral, and the responses are everywhere. Some are referring to Chrissy as a mastermind. Some are calling her a villain outright. The most startling aspect, though, is that Jim's own group is beginning to turn away from him since they don't know where his allegiances will be after this. Shocking disclosure, this is where the stinging really begins. In addition to a personal betrayal, Jim now has to deal with the public. Consequences. Everyone began discussing as soon as the news began to circulate. You are aware of how this operates. There's no going back once the truth is out. Jim now has to deal with his own public failure. While attempting to determine whether Chrissy was pulling all the strings behind the scenes, Cameron, who said he felt personally accountable for not seeing this coming sooner, despite being one of Jim's closest friends. Insiders claim that Cameron had been alerting Jim of Chrissy's problems for years, but Jim was too distracted by his feelings. He never thought the woman he had spent so much time with could be complicit in such a plot. Cameron, however, can no longer keep back. Having a friend is one thing, caught up in a bad situation, but you are forced to speak up when it threatens everything you have fought so hard to achieve. There are now legal issues looming. Jim is in danger of being sued or potentially the subject of a government inquiry for the dubious transactions Chrissy was a part of. If it is established that she deceived him by using his name and possessions to make false investments, Jim might be responsible for a portion of those obligations. Additionally, Jim faces the very real risk of a financial collapse given the current state of affairs. However, the general public fallout is equally harsh. Former admirers of Jim and Chrissy are now doubting their commitment. What caused their blindness? How were they able to have been tricked into thinking this was a genuine romance when it was actually Chrissy's game? Jim's fan base is beginning to turn against him, and the backlash has been rapid. Now that his reputation has been damaged, the world is confronting him with difficult issues. For all these years, who was Jim actually working with? Cameron's relatives have even gone so far as to make recordings that show some of the most startling disclosures regarding Chrissy's dual existence. Nobody could have predicted the extent of these leaked tapes. Speaking publicly about tampering with Jim's image, Chrissy attempting to ruin his career by linking him to dishonest people who were initially motivated to do him harm. These tapes are extremely combustible, and the public's outrage has only increased as a result. Let's not even discuss the current social media conflagration. Hip-hop artists and social media influencers alike are contributing and sharing their thoughts on the circumstance. Fans are going crazy because Shy Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin are popular for all the wrong reasons. "Jim, you've been played and we all saw it coming," one tweet says. Chrissy has been nothing but manipulative. "Jim deserves better," another person argues. But there's more to this than meets the eye. The extent to which Jim's career was based on lies is now being questioned. Was Chrissy the only one who had an impact? Did she have any influence on Jim's success? Or had she been keeping him back all along? The truth gets more difficult with every new disclosure, and the speculation never stops. Financial action, legal action, public indignation and chaos are only the start of this mess. Jim Jones is at a turning point, but it's impossible to predict how far this could go. He faces more than simply a total collapse of his kingdom, but a betrayal of his heart. Now that the full scope of Chrissy Lampkin's treachery has been revealed, what comes next? As the narrative progresses, Jim Jones is confronted with the stark reality of losing his business, his reputation, and possibly even his freedom, in addition to his personal relationship. It's starting to become evident how much Chrissy has manipulated things. And what started out as a relationship straight out of a fairy tale has now devolved into a nightmare that nobody anticipated. The public backlash is escalating rapidly, and Jim and Chrissy's media circus is getting more intense every day. The entire globe is observing, and Jim's career is no longer the only factor. It concerns the breakdown of friendships, the breach of trust, and the possible ruin of everything Jim has put so much effort into creating. While the inquiry is ongoing, Cameron's family has decided to themselves to reveal an increasing number of Chrissy's sinister secrets. And what's emerging is simply astounding. Confidential recordings and leaked documents have come to light. demonstrating that Chrissy's role in Jim's financial predicament was not coincidental. This was intentional. It was a carefully considered scheme to destroy Jim's career and seize his wealth. However, why? What was in it for Chrissy? Let's dissect it. Sources familiar with the matter claim that Chrissy wasn't only involved for the cash. She had a long game to play. She wanted to make sure she had a firm grip over Jim's future because she knew his prominence was increasing. She planned several investments and commercial endeavors, all of which were intended to steal a portion of Jim's fortune while keeping him in the dark. The final game? Instead of Jim, she wanted to be in charge. Here's the twist, though. As more of Chrissy's dubious activities are revealed, it becomes clear that she was up to more than just conspiring to harm Jim. Additionally, she was covertly collaborating with those Jim had trusted, those who were taking advantage of him. An unidentified source said in one of the most startling leaks to date that Chrissy had been in continuous communication with Jim's competitors, using Jim's name to negotiate clandestine arrangements that were detrimental to him in the end. This is far more than a betrayal of the self. It appears to be a concerted attempt to permanently destroy Jim Jones. Everything. The public is now anticipating the consequences as Jim faces increasing legal pressure. Both sides' legal teams are getting ready for an impending court battle, and it appears that this may be the battle of Jim's life. The charges are only becoming stronger, and the evidence is damning. Jim might be subject to severe fines and probably even criminal charges if Chrissy is proven to have engaged in financial manipulation, fees. It's more than just a career ender. Such a scandal has the potential to ruin lives. Not to be overlooked is the media frenzy. The world is paying attention to every turn, and the headlines are everywhere. Fans and detractors alike are following Jim Jones, Sir Chrissy Lampkin, and Cameron exposes Chrissy on a global scale. Choose a side. While some are rooting for Jim and calling for justice, others are attacking him and wondering how someone as strong and well-known as Jim could have been so easily tricked. However, Jim is no longer the exclusive subject of the questioning. They have to do with Chrissy. What will she do next? The specifics are crucial to comprehending Chrissy's behavior, and her intentions were much more complicated than everyone had thought, and this is becoming more evident than ever. According to numerous sources, Chrissy was not just involved in financial schemes, but was also connected to a number of dubious underworld characters. The worst part is still to come. Jim didn't recognize him. Genuinely in sync with Chrissy was meticulously crafting his image while surreptitiously creating addresses those who were utilizing him as a pawn in a far more significant game. Jim's once steady enterprise is now on the verge of collapse. According to industry sources, the harm may be unchangeable. Jim's future is uncertain due to financial mismanagement and potential legal repercussions. However, the greatest tragedy of all is that Jim Jones put his trust in Chrissy when she betrayed him at the worst time, ruining his future, his business, and his heart. Jim has experienced a decline in his mental health as the strain increases. He has been spent days in hiding, consulting with his legal team and attempting to reconstruct his career. But despite his best efforts, the damage is too great and the cracks are too deep. Even though Jim has always been a fighter, there are times when they question their ability to prevail. Will Jim Jones as we know him disappear? Chrissy has been keeping quiet. She is attempting to maintain her distance, according to sources, but the truth about her behavior will eventually surface. Regardless of how much she tries to change the facts, the public's perception of her is in ruins, is aware of what has been done. She can no longer conceal the truth as the walls close in around her. Does she care, though? Would she even be concerned about has she caused any harm? Time will tell. Cameron's family, who have played a crucial role in bringing Chrissy's wrongdoings to light, is now demanding that everything Chrissy participated in. They will not stop until all the facts are out in order to ensure that Jim receives the justice he deserves. We can anticipate much more startling developments as the legal war continues. Revelations to come to light. And who can predict what Jim Jones and Chrissy Elkin will do in the future? There is yet more to the story. However, there is little doubt that this incident will go down in history. Will Jim rise above the ashes? Or will he be permanently destroyed by Chrissy's web of deceit and manipulation? This has been an incredible roller coaster. This story has some really crazy turns and turns. The true question, though, is this. And what will happen next? Is Jim Jones capable of obtaining the fragments of his work and life? Or will he be permanently brought down by Chrissy Lampkin's web of deceit and treachery? Although the truth is known, the path ahead is anything but definite. But we'd want to hear what you think. Do you believe Jim is capable of overcoming the chaos? Or is his reign coming to an end? Is Chrissy being set up in a larger scheme? Or is she actually guilty? Let's get the conversation started by leaving a comment below. Which side are you on, Chrissy's or Jim's? The farther we delve into this narrative, the more mysteries we find. Therefore, don't just sit there. Instead, leave a comment below with your thoughts on this entire situation. To ensure you don't miss the most recent changes, please hit the bell and subscribe button if you haven't already. We have more shocking surprises in store for you. You'll want to be the first to know, I promise. If you want more behind-the-scenes drama, like this video and tell your friends about it so they can all join in the discussion. You don't want to miss a moment of this incredible controversy, which we have only just begun to explore. What comes next for Chrissy, Jim, and the whole family? We will maintain and monitoring each turn, and we'll be telling you the truth, however it's shocking. Watch this space, make sure you subscribe and be a part of. This voyage is explosive. You won't regret it. This is only the start. Let's continue to speak the truth. Truth.